There it is, she proclaimed. It's coming back. My family and I had joined the hundreds of other folks on the terraces at the Minnesota Science Museum to experience the wonder, the beauty, the awesomeness of the solar eclipse, like millions around the United States and this earth. There were those excited gasps and that collective reach for our ISO 12312-2 required solar shades, yes? For safe viewing. And those homemade cereal boxes. Y'all remember those from the previous one many, many years ago? Did any of you take it in? Solar eclipse? Yes, good. Wasn't it amazing? Yeah? That all around the world, folks gathering to watch that dance of shadows and light and darkness. And around 11:45 a.m., we had started watching the moon shadow cover the sun and the darkness that attempted to cover the light. The clouds, as you know, rolled in at about 12:45, and the peak was supposed to be at 1:07, and yet every once in a while, at least twice, there would be those children who would scream out, "There it is." The clouds would break, and we could see more of that dance between the darkness and the light, the sun and the moon and the shadows. And there was that collective excitement and people cheering. It was as if we were calling forth the light. It was as if we had the powers to make the clouds part and the light to still be present, and the darkness did not overcome it. And there I was again in public having another holy moment. And I know last week I shared about me being at a professional baseball game and having a holy moment while doing the wave. Do y'all have those holy moments too as you go about your day, your weeks, yeah? Where all of a sudden the holy breaks in and you're standing there realizing, wow, I am beloved. And there is light that I can turn towards right in this moment. Yes, do you have those as well? I'm reminded of the wisdom of Sue Monk Kidd, Secret Life of Bees. She tells us that our task when we have those experiences of divine presence, of holy moments, when life shifts, she said our task is to not ask, how did this happen? Or why did this happen? Although those questions are okay to ask too. She says our task is to bear witness that they occurred and to share the story, to remind one another of the goodness and the hope and the light that is happening all around us, so that we can anchor and encourage one another as light bearers. It's a profound, life-giving metaphor for these days in which we live, the dance of light and darkness and shadows. That metaphor that we heard about in the Gospel of John. What has come into being with Jesus was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. We need to be careful and sensitive in our footing as we go deeper into our sermon one with another. Darkness historically, especially dark-skinned, has been demonized, has been seen as less than human. We experience that rise even today of darkness continuing to be seen as less than worthy. We also know about too bright of light and how it can burn us, that the shadow that it gives out becomes overwhelming. Darkness that's connected to evil can lead to death. In Jesus' day, there was a darkness of an evil empire that lacked a compassionate, justice-filled ethic. And Jesus, as he went about his day, having that justice-filled, compassionate ethic, refused to believe that darkness would have the last word. We as a people of resurrection know that life is possible even in the face of death and darkness and shadows. That darkness can be a place of birth. We spent our first 8 or 9 months in our watery wombs, our mother's watery wombs, filled with that sacred darkness that allowed us and held us to grow and develop and nurtured us. Some of us are in that place of a dark night of the soul, where we are being invited to step over a threshold to experience transformation. And yet if you're in that place and you feel as if it's overwhelming and you're suffocating, I hope that you will reach out for some professional help, yes? Because those dark nights of the soul can be quite overwhelming. Shadows also ask us, what is covering up our light? What is eclipsing our light? What behaviors and habits are preventing us from living fully in the light that God has for each of us? Victor Hugo tells us that nations like stars are entitled to eclipse. All is well, provided the light returns and the eclipse does not become endless night. Dawn and resurrection are synonymous. The reappearance of the light is the same as the survival of the soul. The reappearance of the light is the same as the survival of the soul. We're going to do a bit of a pivot, yes? As we hold this light and darkness and the survival of our soul and our nation as we turn inward to this congregation. Last week we talked about 5 factors of vitality for churches. You okay with me pivoting? It's all connected. Stay with me, yeah? 5 factors of vitality, because it matters how and what we are creating here one with another, and then how we go out and live that. So if we continue to be a people who are committed to being light bearers, to sharing our stories when we encounter the holy, that's part of us being a church filled with vitality. As you remember last week, the United Church of Christ did a survey and a study about churches that are thriving. And it's not just about numbers, although we've had a magnificent amount of people come and say, yes, this is my spiritual home. Vitality is how we live one with another. And there are 5 factors that churches have. Yes, you with me? Is this ringing any? Thank you. Bells. And if you weren't here last week, I'll catch y'all up. It's very fascinating, I think. So vitality, what does it mean? Vitality is the strength of congregations connected to God, one another, and the world. Vitality, the potential of the congregation for accomplishing the real outcome of ministry, making disciples and changing the world. Vitality, the active presence of spirit that empowers us to change the world like we never imagined. Vitality, what does our Creator require of you, of me, of us? To do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with our God. Vitality is grounded in our clarity of mission and vision and our 3 priorities. Yes? You all with me? So last week, we asked ourselves, where are we thriving in vitality and where are we challenged? And we talked about the first 3. So the first 3 is there is excitement about the future here. We bought air conditioners. Yes? The second one, this congregation is always ready to try something new. And we changed that to most of the time. Which is true, very true, yes? Third, this place seeks out and uses the gifts of members of all ages. We're committed to listening to and learning from our children and our youth, our wise ones, and everyone in between. So as we look at number 4 and number 5, I again invite you to discern where are we thriving in vitality and where are we challenged. And as I was mowing the lawn this past week, I realized that do y'all get clarity while mowing the lawn as well? Gardening, there's something about that shift, the physicality of the shift. It became clear that this isn't just about church vitality. This is about how we're living our lives too. In your own life, is there excitement about your future for you and your family? In your own life, are you willing always, sometimes, most of the time? Willing to try something new? And again, remember we talked about that's not just following the next shiny thing. That's discerning where God's leading you, leading us. And then the third, how are you doing seeking out and using the gifts of all members of your family? So the fourth factor of vitality. This congregation is a positive force in the community. Do we have a vested relationship in our surrounding community? Are we aware that our church's well-being is tied to the community's well-being? It's all connected, one to another. Are we committed to meeting the real needs of those in our community? In a couple of weeks, we're going to bless these backpacks, and then they'll go to the kids at Lyndale School, and maybe even some of the other schools too around our neighborhood, because we know there is folks, some children and families, even around here, have food scarcity concerns. Below us in this congregation, there is a Montessori school who's been here 25 years? Somebody help me with the date. Wow. So we have a long history of providing a safe space for our children, and most of them are in the surrounding neighborhood. For our kids to thrive, to learn who they are, to be citizens who are responsible, who one day will vote on our health care. Not to make it about us, right? But I mean, even though I just sort of did, but it's all connected, isn't it? One with another. I'm forgetting his name. It'll come to me in a few minutes. Spoke about traveling to different, Roger Nishioka, who teaches out at, I think it's Columbia University. I can look that up for y'all. He talks about church renewal and churches thriving. And he said there was a downtown church who was struggling a bit, and so they asked their members to go through the study about vitality. And some of the comments were, if our church went away tomorrow, the neighbors across the street would open their windows in their condo and say, cool, more parking, when the building would go away, because the church had not been in the community. So this congregation is a positive force in the community. And then that fifth factor of vitality, this place helps members live out their faith in their daily lives. How are we in nurturing our lives together so that we can be salt and light? You've heard me say it before, and I will continue to say it, that worship and life is not a spectator sport. We come here to be fed, to be greeted by that Christ light within one another, and then we go out to live our faith daily. One of the areas that I hope you know that we are committed to is expanding our understanding of mission. You know, we have our mission ministry team that calls us for our striving for equity in 3 different places. Yes, education, immigration, and it'll come to me as well. Anybody remember the third? I hope that we will continue widening our understanding of mission. Each of you, when you go to your job, to your volunteer areas, You are in the mission field, and this isn't about converting people to Jesus, although that would be a fun sermon, wouldn't it? Each of you are in your own mission field, your own sphere of influence. God has gifted you with these unique gifts, and you go to your place of work to be that light bearer there, to live out your faith. When I'm praying for you all throughout the week, I know when Mike Peterson is meeting with his team and they are moving grain around and I'm still trying to understand that, their grain around the United States, I know that Mike is treating his team in a way filled with integrity and calling out his folks. I know when Kim Caprios is meeting with her board or going to the state representatives and the Senate and asking for funds for those who are usually forgotten, she is living out her passion. I know when Susan Rose is meeting with kids who are going to school and then they're living in their car, that you all are living out your faith. I know when Julie Ristow is talking about chickens and sustainability, that she is widening that circle about what it means for us to live together in community. I know when Debbie March is talking to her mother who has challenges with memory and how hard those conversations are, that Debbie continues to have this wide open, beautiful heart. I know when I gather to co-lead worship with Jay and Nicole, that each of them are bringing their wonderful selves, us expanding our mission field and how we are those light bearers one with another. I know when Judine is meeting with her folks at the university, yes, at the college, people coming from around the world, and there's this diverse, beautiful group of people trying to learn what it means to be successful and faithful here. I could go through each of you in the pews because I continue to thank God for you living out your faith, for you living that out brightly here. And in so doing it, we embody the wisdom of Mary Ann Williamson. And we'll end here. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. I know we're in Minnesota and we do the Minnesota nice, but your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. Did you hear Dave's poetic pause when he read that part? It's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So help us, oh God, to be those people shining our light brightly, liberating ourselves and others. Amen.